Hello friends, for today's video I'm going to be doing another funny 1-star reviews. If you've never seen this series on my channel, the idea is pretty self-explanatory. I find very popular books and then I go through negative reviews until I find the ones that I think are very amusing, whether that be because the people so passionately hate the book they can't fathom why anybody would like the book, or because they're very creative in expressing their hatred. And then I like sharing that with all of you because I think it's funny. I do this for books whether I like them or not, which means sometimes this is a very painful process for me and sometimes it can be very cathartic. And I figure for those of you that are in the same camp as me, where sometimes it's very validating to look at negative reviews for things you don't like, and then also sometimes it's painful, but you, for whatever reason, just feel like hurting yourself looking at negative reviews of books you like. Whatever the case may be, whatever's brought you here, I just think it can be a good old time to look at negative reviews. I like seeing people be very passionately upset at stories that wasted their time. I do happen to really like Shades of Magic. I happen to like V.E. Schwab's works, and that's what we're focusing in on today. And if you are interested in seeing more V.E. Schwab content, I actually am doing a read-along for the Shades of Magic trilogy leading up to Threads of Power, and then I'll be reading Threads of Power with some of my friends here on BookTube, and all of those co-hosts for the read-along will be linked, all of their channels, and I do have a playlist where all of us have been doing videos that are specific either to V.E. Schwab or have sprinkles of V.E. Schwab throughout. And then I'll say if you are interested in seeing more funny 1-star reviews after this, I'll have my funny 1-star reviews playlist linked. The last time I did this, rather than focusing on a single book or series, I decided to focus on a specific author and then look at negative reviews across their different works. I really liked doing that, and I did that for R.F. Kuang. I had a poll on my community tab, and Sarah J. Maas, unsurprisingly, won, so I will be doing that next. But we're going to focus on V.E. Schwab just in the spirit of Threads of Power coming out soon. And jumping into it, this first one is for Shades of Magic, and I want to be very specific. A darker shade of magic. If you don't know, the series name is Shades of Magic. The first book is called A Darker Shade of Magic. I made sure I was looking at reviews for A Darker Shade of Magic, and some of you might be like, why are you hitting this point so much? Because of the review left for A Darker Shade of Magic says, don't read this book. I have not finished this book, and I probably won't. I took this from my local library and would sure have appreciated, in all caps, being told that this is the second book in a series. Not one word anywhere on the cover, informational pages, or reviews. I realize that this is not the author's fault, but the people at Tor Books should know that I am unlikely to start another book by this author when I am this mad. So it's funny for a number of reasons. You left a review upset that this was the second book in a series when it's the first book in a series. It is the first book in a series. Now, I am with them. I do appreciate when there's a very obvious 1, 2, 3, or when it says book 1 of whatever the series name is, fill in the blank. In this case, it's the Shades of Magic. So if it said book 1 of Shades of Magic, book 2 of Shades of Magic, yes, I love that. A lot of us love that. We like when it's very distinct and clear what book in the series we have picked up, especially because sometimes, in this case particularly as well, when the series name and the first book in the series, it's a little unclear either because they have the same name or something like with Mistborn. The first one is called The Final Empire, and people see the word final and they're like, is this the last one? So I'm with you there. I do appreciate the numbers. But you left a negative review for the first book, upset that it's the second book and it's the first book. And then the other part that's so amusing to me is that they're like, I know it's not the author's fault, which I agree, it's not V.E. Schwab's fault, but they're aware of that, and yet they're like, but Tor should know that I'm going to be so mad that I won't read anything else by this author if it was actually the second book. And they picked it up, and then they told themselves, well, I don't feel like I can read the first one now because I have spoiled myself for the first one, so I don't think I can read this series. That I would understand. I don't understand not reading any of her works that are unrelated to this series. Anyway, so that one amused me, but also the fact that it says, don't read this book. What if other people, like, that's not a reason for a 1 star. Anyway, this next one, oh man, this is the entire review. Sometimes I only read snippets. This one is the entire review. And I'm going to let you know, if you don't know anything about Shades of Magic, the idea is that you have a main character who is called an Antari. And Antari are individuals who can travel between parallel worlds, specifically through the city of London. There are 4 Londons. Our London, which our main character distinguishes by calling it Grey London. His London, which is Red London. White London, which is on the brink of basically destruction because people are so horrible there and it's very difficult to survive and people are very power hungry. And then there's Black London, which has been consumed by magic. So there's 4 Londons. You pretty much only see 3 of them, one of which is ours. So it's like there's 2, red and white. And this review says, audiobook DNF, too many Londons for me. This next one, I honestly don't remember if it's for Shades of Magic or if it's for Vicious and Vengeful, because I did find some negative reviews for Vicious and Vengeful. But I just really liked the creativity with this one, so we'll go ahead and get into it. It says, where to begin with this one? Let's use an analogy. This book is a piece of chicken that you forgot to season before putting in the oven, dry out from cooking too long, choke on as you desperately try to clear your airway, and you eventually die. This next one, I just really like this exchange. So on Goodreads, if you don't know, because I pull some of these from Amazon and I pull some of these from Goodreads. And on Goodreads, you can interact with people. You can interact with reviews. So if somebody leaves a review, you understand the concept of replying. But sometimes somebody will say like, oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so tired of seeing all the hype. Or wow, you said exactly what I was thinking. You put it into words so well. You've described it perfectly. I'm going to point people to yours. The exchange between these 2 individuals, I really liked. And I also am like, am I missing something? Because it goes in a really interesting direction. So the initial review says, this author, Victoria Schwab, has severely disappointed me for the last time. I repeat myself when I say that I don't understand how some people ever get published because her writing is so poorly executed. And I swear, every story I read of hers is basically just some slightly tweaked version of something else I've read. There's no talent or originality anywhere to be found, and I'm officially done. Don't waste your time on this book or any other. I know they meant any other V. Schwab book, but the lack of clarification makes it sound like they're telling you, like, don't waste your time on reading it all. The person there was only one person that replied, because I looked, I'm like, am I missing something? So one person replies, and they said, I think it's this review that caused me to friend you initially. Gotta love fellow 1-star reviewers. This book was one of the worst pieces of garbage I've ever had the misfortune to pick up. How on earth this author is popular is utterly beyond me. Really makes you wonder about the intelligence of our current society. This is what makes you question the intelligence of our society, because there's plenty of other things that I could point to and be like, how? How is our society so dumb? Or like, this makes me lose hope in humanity. Let me go look at some dogs and I'll feel better. But people liking this series makes you question the intelligence of our current society. And then the other person replied, and this is why I keep saying, what did I miss here? Because what did I miss here? What am I missing? It says, those 1-star reviews, oof, gosh, yes, I definitely question the state of humanity after having the misfortune of reading some of the awful drivel people put out. The politics, oh god, it drives me nuts. Why do modern authors feel they have to shove their opinions down our throats? I just want to read. I just want good stories I can lose myself in. They're so rare anymore. Sometimes it really, it's so over the top. Sometimes it really hurts to give even a single star. I need a negative star option. So what the heck are they talking about with the politics here? At first I thought there must have been another review and then the person deleted it. And then I'm like, I don't think so, because they directly quote them being like, yeah, I too question the state of humanity, which there's a difference between questioning the intelligence of society and the state of humanity. One of them is more of like, aren't people dumb? And the other one's like, I feel like we're destroying the world over here. But regardless, just the sheer the how judgmental they are to people who like this series. I get being like, I don't get how anybody likes this, or like, maybe you tell your friends a little bit, like, I don't know, I feel like you gotta be kind of dumb to think that was good. I understand that people say stuff like that. They maybe talk like that when they're just with their friends, people they trust, people they know, like they don't literally mean that, but maybe you're just speaking, casually, whatever. But just the like, why do people have to shove politics down our throats? Where? Where in Vicious and Vengeful and Shades of Magic, and I'm like, what in these books are we like, I don't like fill in the blank political thing. I don't want to get political here, but anyway. And then just sometimes it really hurts to give even a single star. I just really like that review. It's very over the top and it makes me laugh. This next one says, not a complete waste of time, but close. I cannot believe that this drivel was written for an adult audience, even as far as fantasy goes. It is dumb. On to the next book. And I just know, given that my channel is primarily about fantasy books, and so many of you are big fantasy lovers, that I'm sure you really appreciate the line that says, even as far as fantasy goes, it is dumb. The best part is that fantasy is in like a little quotations. So I'm like, I don't know what that means. What do you mean, like, as far as fantasy goes? Are you saying you don't think it's fantasy? The next one says, I'm pretty sure I finished this, but I'm not 100% sure. And I feel like that's all the criticism that this book needs. And I thought that was really funny. And then they added utterly forgettable. And I gotta say, as far as 1-star reviews go, that's a pretty good way to describe how it made you feel without actually describing how it made you feel. This next one says, Twilight reimagined, now with even less representation. And I don't know what they're talking about. This next one, there is more to the review than just this first part that I'm going to read, but I just really like this first sentence. It says, so it's for Vengeful, the sequel to Vicious. And it says, after this book, I vowed to never read the second book of a series. That is some pretty intense hatred. If it made you swear off all sequels forever for the rest of the time, you vowed that you are never going to pick up another second book in a series. Does that mean you'll pick up a third? You'll just skip over the second? Is it just a second book in a series? This next one is kind of sad. I've never seen this happen before. Many of us have seen on Amazon, we'll see negative reviews that are like, my copy was damaged. And you're like, that doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the book. But also, it's a sorry if you heard my dog grumbling. But also, Amazon, they send books to people, so it makes sense that you're reviewing the service, the retailer. They failed you because your product got to you damaged. That makes sense. It's just kind of a little painful, as a lot of us who like to review books and rate books and things like that, to see a negative rating for something that's not the author's fault. Okay, I've seen that before. I've seen that many a time. I've never seen on Goodreads this happen, where it's like almost the exact opposite situation. Maybe not exact, but it's interesting. It says, I feel so bad. I don't seem to understand this app. Is it that I have to purchase the books before I can read them? Yes. Or you can check them out from the library, but it's a reviewing app. I think they maybe thought that they could just get any book from Goodreads, that they could click on the book they wanted and then read it. But what I think is kind of interesting is they were able to figure out how to leave a review on a book reviewing app, to leave a review that said they don't know how this app works. And I'm like, well, you actually did figure out how the app works. You just can't read books there. That's it, though, for some negative reviews of V.E. Schwab's works. And I have to say, I was pretty surprised with how big of a name V.E. Schwab is, and for how many ratings and reviews there are. There's not actually that many negative reviews. I'm sure, though, that when we visit Sarah J. Maas, that I will have so many to choose from. So be on the lookout. That should probably be coming sometime within the next month or two. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.